You hungry? Well, I'm hungry. You like baseball? Well, I love that shit. Want a slice of pizza? Go to New York. You want hot weather? Come to LA. You want to break bread? Call Nick Turturro. Ready, motherfucker? Are you ready? Well, I'm fucking ready. Get ready! We got my man, Kurt in the house.
Here we are.
Curtis Wilmot, good buddy of mine. We go back about 20 years. NYPD Blue, Kurt was the locations manager, right, buddy?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
He was a good friend of Stephen Bochco, our former boss, former friend.
Yep.
How'd you meet Stephen?
Well, I was giving Jim Sicking tennis lessons at Stephen's new house, if you know who Jim Sicking is.
Jim Sicking was the actor on, one of the actors on...
We played Doogie Howser's dad, and he was also on...
Hill Street Blues.
Hill Street Blues,
Right.
and a few others. So I went to give Jim Sicking a lesson, and and this guy comes out.
Pull it closer.
This
Pull the fucking mic closer.
Yeah.
Don't be shy. Just
Yeah.
don't block your face.
There you go.
All right.
And this guy comes out, this skinny, tall guy comes out, and he says, look, you know, I'm playing this guy Michael Warren was also on Hill Street. He goes, and he's a great athlete. You know, he used to play for the Bruins, UCLA Bruins.
Right. Was he a quarterback?
He was no, he was on the basketball team, the John Wooden days.
He's on the John Wooden days.
Played with
Right.
you know, Lou Alcindor.
Lou Alcindor, who was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but he was Lou Alcindor first.
Yeah, so Steven said, you have that serve that hits and it hops in the other direction. Can you teach me to do that? You know, and I just met the guy. I didn't want to, I said, I'm sorry, I can't, you know, that's like 20 years
That's
of hitting
taking
that
you a
serve.
long time, right?
I'm not going to just promise you that.
Now, Kurt, you was basically you were like a pro, right?
Yeah.
You were on the
I was a
pro
tennis
circuit,
I was a
right?
pro circuit.
Who'd you
yeah.
play?
I played Bjorn Borg.
Played
I
Borg?
played,
Oh, my God.
Jimmy Connors.
You played Connors?
Yeah. Yeah. I've actually got a kind of a cute story. There was a guy named Eli Nastasi. I don't know if you
Crazy. Oh,
remember.
I remember Ili Nastasi.
Eli Nastasi.
This is for you tennis fans out there.
That's right.
Ili Nastasi, that's going way back. Jimmy Connors, Bjorn Borg. Classic tennis, which I loved back then.
Right. So I hadn't played tennis more than about a year. I was 14 years old. Just going to try out for the high school tennis team. Brought my old wooden racket, because they used to be the small wooden rackets
Where
back
was this,
in
in
the
the
day.
Valley?
Yeah, this was 1973.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to El Camino Real High School in Woodland Hills.
It's a real Valley guy, Kurt.
So I go to Las Vegas with my mom, and I hear that Nastasi is playing Jimmy Connors the next day for a match for $100,000, which $100,000 in 1973 was some money.
That's a lot of money.
So Nastasi was #1 in the world at that time. I was 14. I had this little racket, and I go down there and I start watching him practice with Pancho Gonzalez and Pancho Gonzura. And so what I did was, I had heard that he let some people play with him. If you go up and you ask. So I went up and asked. He said, bring your racket back tomorrow, kid. So I went down there.
But did you
The
know how to
next
play?
day, this is my hero, because he was a crazy man. You know, it's like...
Wild man, yeah.
He's a wild man. You know, high school.
It's Italian, right? Nastasi?
No, he's
Spaniard?
But he was the Bucharest buffoon. So wherever the hell Bucharest is.
Bucharest.
Is it Belgium?
Ili Nastasi.
We have to look that up.
Check that out, Nick. Where's he from?
Who?
Eli Nastasi.
Ili Nastasi. He was a great tennis... He was a wild man.
Anyway, so I show up the next day. He says, come on down, kid. I brought my racket, started hitting a few with him. I'll never forget as long as I live. He hit a shot. It was like a slap shot. He hit a forehand so hard, I was waiting for the ball. I go back to start taking my racket back. It thuds against the Adidas banner like 40 feet behind me before I could even take my racket back.
Wow.
He's 73.
I know he's 73. I'm asking you where he's from. Where's he from?
Romania.
Oh,
Oh,
Romanian.
crazy Romanian.
Yeah. So yeah,
All right.
so that was fun. That was fun.
But I mean, at that time, were you a good tennis player at 14?
Well, I just started, but I was fairly athletic, so I was catching up pretty quick, and I was tall. You know, I had a
Right.
big serve, so which really helped.
Who introduced you to it?
You know, I just kind of went to the park one day and started hitting against a wall.
Really?
Yeah, I just found it on my own, and then I was just crazy about it.
Right.
You know.
And I
just
mean, you weren't a hoop player, right? But I mean, you played
I
a little
played
basketball.
a little bit, but
How tall were you at that time? Because you grew to like
14,
6'8".
15, yeah, probably 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah. It's not. I don't think there was that many tall tennis players back then, right?
No, there wasn't. There wasn't at all. But you know, there were times when you know, there were certain guys, like I had the second fastest serve in the world, clocked in the world. There was a guy named Roscoe Tanner who had a faster serve than me. He had this red metal
lefty,
racket.
right?
This is a lefty.
Yeah.
And he just cranked it, and it just like, as soon as it leaves the racket, well, you see a lot of the guys now that do the same thing. It leaves the racket, and it's already hitting the wall behind you.
So what happened? You were on the circuit? I mean,
On the circuit, played a little while, but you know, I mean, I didn't have the family. I'm one of the few guys that didn't have a family, that didn't have a bunch of money. So you had to pay for your own flights. You can imagine if you're on that circuit,
Right.
You're running around, you're staying in hotels. You know, it's expensive.
Yeah.
So I finally came back and started teaching tennis, and then ran into Steven.
went into Steven.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then started on NYPD Blue.
Was that your first job?
No, my first job was actually a show called Cop Rock.
Oh,
You
Cop
remember
Rock.
Cop
Yeah,
Rock?
well, I
Steven's
never saw it. It was about
show.
singing cops, right?
Singing cops.
Yeah.
They should have. You could have been a singing cop. You could have
Yeah,
done Frank
I-
Sinatra. You know,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah,
What do
wow.
you think, Nicky Nick?
Yeah.
You can't sing.
Yeah. Up your ass, I can't sing. Fucking natural singer. I just never had a, I just didn't have a lot of training, but I actually had a good voice. I have a pretty good voice. I just didn't train. Everybody thought I was going to be. I was in a couple of musicals when I was a kid. I was in Oliver Twist.
Yeah.
I was in Guys and Dolls. I just wasn't a trained singer, but
Right.
I actually had a pretty good voice. I mean, way better than this guy. He fucking raps. He doesn't rap. He just talks music. There's fucking music today. They just talk this shit.
You
And
couldn't
it's
even
like,
record.
I give him credit, because
Yeah.
he's learning the genre, he's learning what they do, but it's is a style to it. I'm not
Right.
saying there's no talent, there is, but it's more of a gimmick to me than like.
But here's the argument to that, right? So like, you say it's a gimmick, but if I told you what to do, you couldn't do it. So it's an art form that is still a skill you need to learn and acquire and have, which you can't possess. So,
I don't want to possess.
But it's not that you don't want to.
I don't
You-
want to possess.
But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't interest me.
Well, it doesn't interest
Are
me
you
to
saying
be.
you don't think he could learn it
So
if
it
he really
doesn't-
wanted to do it?
No.
Oh.
It doesn't interest me to be a doctor, but doesn't mean I don't respect the doctor's craft.
Listen, I respect it for what it is. It's not my cup of tea.
You just don't like it. That's all it is. But you can't
It's
disregard
okay.
it.
It's not like
if you can't do it, then you shouldn't
I
disregard
didn't say I
it.
can't do it. I
But he
don't
likes-
want to do
he
it.
likes hip-hop
I
and
appreciate
rap.
it. You
He
see me
likes
dance to it.
Yeah, he
It's
dances
just-
like a madman to it.
You can't even say that. You like your boy Pinch, and he's gonna come on this show. So what
love
makes
Pinch.
So exactly.
I like my hip
So
hop.
you have no room to talk about it. Your favorite all your favorite artists that you like today do the same things that everybody does. So in fact, you really have no room to talk about this.
It's all right. Listen.
But to back to your point, Oliver Twist is a great musical. So
That's right.
I do give you credit there.
I was a pretty good Artful Dodger, let me tell you.
In my own carriage.
There's a Cockney. Consider yourself at home. Very good. Anyway, so you meet Bochco,
Meet Bochco, start playing with him.
start
and-
playing with him.
Yeah.
And what does he say? Does he say, like, he offers you a job? You're like, why don't you come work for me or something?
Well, you know,
how'd that happen?
I was there about 6-9 months, something like that.
Teaching him tennis.
Yeah, and I said, I'm
Steven was a good athlete, right?
very good athlete. Yeah. And I'd written a couple of scripts, and he read one of them and liked it. And I said, listen, sitting in a room is really tough. Sitting and writing a script, as you know, sitting around for 4 or 5 months and writing something, it's like solitary confinement. I mean, it's really hard.
Yeah.
So I said, what about getting into production? And so he talked to his head of production, and he said, maybe like being a location assistant would be good because you're out in the world, you're negotiating with people, you're dealing with all different departments. And it's a very important position, and you're not stuck in an office all the time. So that's how it started.
That's how it started. So you were like an assistant locations guy?
Yeah, you start out as an assistant, but the first job, I got to tell you, Cop Rock, you know where it's shot, right? Watts.
Watts?
Watts.
Wow.
So the guy tells me, he goes, I want you to go to Martin Luther King Drive, make a left when you get near the Watts Towers. Now I'm used to, the Valley and tennis tournaments and all of that. So next thing I know, I'm in Watts at the Watts Towers.
So what do you got to do? What's your job? You got to go scout the locations, find them, make a deal. I mean, how does that work? Like, they say we're going to be on location. You get an episode. I mean, how does it work?
You break the script down based on let's say you've got a crack house. That you have to find a crack house, okay? And there's a half a day's work there, and then there's a restaurant also. Mm-hmm. So you have to try to find both of those things near each other because, when you come out, you see 20 trucks. Moving all that equipment takes a long time.
Right.
So you try to blend as much as you can, and then you have to get in there and negotiate. And you have to look at all the surroundings and thinking you have a budget you have to try to adhere to. Right. Fortunately, the Botchko shows, there wasn't much of a budget. You could kind of...
Right.
If you had to pay $10,000 for something, you just pay for it.
Because you had the money. You had the money.
Had the money.
I mean, what were the budgets on Cop Rock? Do you remember? Did you get to know that?
I didn't.
Or you just know what you could spend?
Yeah, I knew our budget, but you know what? There was always room to move. If you needed something and it was a great location.
Were you with NYPD Blue in the first year?
Yeah, first year.
Were the location? What was your position?
I was the assistant the first year, then I became the manager the second year.
What were how much money could you spend on that show? Do you remember?
I could
per
spend
episode.
About $50,000 an episode.
For locations.
Yeah, just locations.
Yeah, because
that's parking the trucks in the lots. That's crew parking, finding a place to cater. All of the incidentals, changing the signs to New York signs on all the businesses, making sure we could put like a Con Ed steam machine out, in front of blocking businesses because everybody has their hand out. You hand them the card that says 20th Century Fox Studios.
Right.
Next thing you know, give me some money.
Yeah.
Well,
Right. No, it's a fun job. I mean,
it was fun.
And you kept teaching Steven tennis
Steven,
all the time. You were his guy.
Yeah, for
I don't even remember how we
years.
met. I don't know if we met the first year or the second year. I don't remember exactly how we met. But I guess there was a time where we just were introduced to some shit.
Yeah, I've thought about
you
that
remember
over
that?
the years. No, I think it was like the second season.
I think so. Maybe we were on location. I was trying to think. Maybe we smoked a cigar together or some shit.
Yeah. Because I remember smoking a cigar with Dennis Franz out in Boyle Heights at night.
Right.
And I don't know if you were around that night or not, but we all started smoking cigars, and that really kind of got us going. And then you were a madman at the it was either the second or third
it was a
year
rap
of the
party.
rap party.
Yeah.
Up in downtown LA. Remember that?
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, and you had your
dancing.
tie on your head, spinning around.
But I do that thing, when I get... You gotta tell them what I do when I'm dancing. I get wild, and then I take the tie off, and then I put the tie around my head. Was I singing?
I think we have Nick here. Tell the audience how your dad dances.
Oh, with no rhythm.
Cut the shit out. Have a little fucking energy. You look like you haven't slept in 4 days.
There's no camera on me today.
What do you mean no camera?
Do you see
Well,
4
why not?
cameras?
Oh.
Don't ask me. I'm not the production.
All right. Well, anyways.
He doesn't... The problem with him is that he doesn't understand concepts of hitting the beats while you hit the moves. Everything
Hey, does anybody dance like me?
Nobody dances like you.
Nobody dances
You
like...
have to see me in action.
Nobody dances like you, but does that
Very
mean it's
unique.
good?
I can't follow people that well, but when I get going, I can dance with the best of them.
But does that mean it's good?
I think it's pretty good. A lot of people think it's good. Maybe you don't. You know, I probably wouldn't last
Wow.
on Dancing with the Stars. I
Wow,
mean, 'cause I'm
wow.
not-
But you know, those guys all have lessons and stuff. By the
Yeah.
time they get on there, I mean, if you had lessons, just like if you had singing lessons, you'd even be a better
Right.
singer. I mean,
right.
it's-
Everything I do is raw.
Yeah.
Even my dancing. A lot of your friends, a lot of people, we love the way you dance. Because it's
lot
very
of
like,
energy,
it's a
lot
little
of
bit of
energy.
like, I'm trying to describe, like a little Fred Astaire mixed in with a little ballet. I do jumps. I do a couple of spins.
It looks like a guy who attempted karate and failed, and he just tried to go into
Bullshit.
ballroom dancing.
Bullshit. Just because I'm not like maybe classical, you know, but I can move. You know I can move. People get excited. They clear the floor when I'm fucking
They
dancing.
clear the floor because nobody wants to get kicked.
I can promise you, I can't do the moves you do.
No
That's for
way.
damn
No
sure.
way. I got leg moves, kick moves. You gotta see me on the floor. I mean, it's hard for me to like, you know, it's like anything. You know, you can't always, you gotta see it. You gotta be there to experience. If you've experienced at a party with me, you know I throw
Right.
down, right? I
Okay.
throw down. Usually I'm hurting afterwards. Sometimes I get too carried away. Like I do a lot of moshing with him and his friends, and that's a new thing now, the whole mosh pit thing. You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
Where all the guys get in and they smash. I mean, it's wild, some of them. You can get hurt, man.
Really, yeah.
'Cause these guys are colliding. They're young kids. I'm not, you know,
I'm even small for it, but I still do it.
you've been punched in the face, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's no
That's
joke.
the thing.
Well, the thing is, it just depends on on what's the context, but it's very violent.
Yeah. Well,
I like it though. It's fun.
it is fun.
It's good to release aggression when you hear music sometimes.
And anyways, we met, we bonded, we became friends on the set, and before you know it, this fucking guy was in my trailer more than me. I had a trailer. You know, we all had our trailers on NYPD Blue, and Curtis was like always in there. Everybody's looking for him. They're like, "Where is he?" Figured
Yeah.
he's in Nick's trailer. He's in
Yeah.
here more than Nick.
Yeah, they'd go in my office looking for me. I wasn't in my office. I was in the second
"Hey,
office.
I'm in here, baby."
Stood there smoking a cigar.
Smoking
Don't bother
cigars.
me.
Those were the days when we had a hit show, great show, one of the best shows on TV. You just don't know how lucky you are, how
No.
special that was
No.
till it's over. You know, and then
Absolutely.
I mean, just the whole. You know, you don't realize those are sometimes the greatest years of your life. I remember people telling me that, and then when it was over, you know, you do other things, you try to do other things, but it was just such a special group. On all levels, all kinds of people that were. It was really unique, wasn't it?
It's almost as if you try to chase that moment again, to try to find it again, but you'll never have it again. It was its own
I know.
thing.
It
in
was its own thing.
time.
I just remember even the first year, maybe even before I knew you, I didn't know. I remember one guy, Bert Armis. He was a
remember
producer,
Bert.
and he goes, "Hey kid, don't unpack your bags." And I went, "Huh?" I was like, "Well, I wasn't thinking anything. I was just happy to have the job."
Right.
And then, you know, you find out who David Milch is, Stephen Bochco. This guy is like he's such the coolest dude, man. I was like, and then he gives you a hug. It's like one of the greatest hugs you ever got. And he was just, you know, we're so
So
happy.
genuine.
Yeah,
So
so genuine. I mean, I auditioned for the guy in New York. I think I auditioned for the whole team. Greg Hoblet,
Yeah.
Milch. I barely knew who all these guys were. I literally threw a sweater over my doorman pants.
Yeah.
And ran up to the Gulf and Western building. And I guess they were auditioning all these, you know, women to play one of maybe it was the Sherry Stringfield.
Right.
And I remember waiting. And maybe they had some footage on me, maybe from Jungle Fever, a few things. You know, and I didn't have many lines, you know. And then finally I got called in. I almost didn't get the audition for a lot of some stupid casting lady. Didn't, for whatever reason, I wasn't, you know, completely Puerto Rican, wouldn't let me in the room, but I got in the room. Junie Lowry helped, my agent helped me get in, and I was like, all these guys, it was a good thing I didn't know, like, you know, how big of a show.
How famous they were, yeah.
Yeah, how famous, because it was almost like, all right, I got to get this done, because I got to get, you know, I knew it could have been a big thing, but I didn't quite know to the magnitude, and I was like, hands up! I had a line here, and I was like, I'm up for that. I remember some of the lines. There weren't many lines,
Yeah.
but they were all like looking, yeah. They were all like, yeah. You know, that was great.
Yeah.
And I was like, thanks, guys, you know, and walked out of there.
Yeah. Wow.
And then my agent calls me and he's like, they like you, baby. They like you a lot. But I was like, do I have a shot? And they were like, well, we got to work on it. We got to work on them. They want to know, this. They want to know that. And then they kind of like, you're in the running. You're in the running. But they just kept campaigning for me. And, it kept me on a hold for like a month or two. And then finally, the fucking guys were like, you got it. And I was like, I'd gotten sick that winter. And I had a relapse of a flu. I thought I was dying or something. And I took a leave of absence. I was waiting. Finally, I was so sick. I was so thin. They were like, you got it. And I was like, yeah, how much? And the money was shit. And I was like, that's it. But it didn't matter. And here's the truth. They were like, this is great. Now, I didn't know much about scripts back then. I didn't know a lot,
Right.
I was just kind of learning. I'd only been doing it a couple of years, and I was doing well doing it on the side as
Right.
And I remember reading, I think I read the pilot, and I was like, this is okay. I mean, I didn't know.
Right.
I had no idea that it was going to look like that. I didn't even know who Dennis Franz was. I mean, I knew when I heard David Caruso, because I had seen him in some movies. I said, oh, that guy is a good actor. And he was fucking great.
Right.
I mean, I know I say, he was crazy. He was a friend of mine, and he was nuts in his own, in his way. But he was exciting, wasn't he?
He was absolutely exciting. Aren't
you couldn't take your eyes off him. I heard
No.
Quentin Tarantino laughed at some of his roles, but he was mesmerized by Caruso on NYPD Blue because the feature people saw what he was doing. And he was fucking exciting.
And what, it just never translated when he went to film?
He didn't really give it enough time. He did one movie, Kiss of Death, which wasn't a great movie. And then he was, he fucking sabotaged his job there.
He only did one season, right?
And then 4 episodes.
Yeah.
And then he did this bad movie, Jade. And he really should have hung out for a couple of years.
So he fucked up.
Yeah, maybe he would have gotten the right feature role. Maybe it would have never happened for him on the feature. That remains to be seen.
But in perspective, if he stayed, I mean, that changes the show, right? Because then there's no Jimmy Smits, right?
There's no Jimmy Smits. There's no Rick Schroeder. But, if he was a guy that really gave as much as like Dennis Franz, which he did a lot of his scenes with, if he was there and present, he still would have walked away with 75, 100 million. He would have been okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then gone on, and he could have funded his own films.
Because he
whatever.
was so good on that show. He was so good that who knows, maybe in the second or the third season, Curtis is right. His money would have went up and up. His leverage would have went up and up if he would have just stuck it out for a few years.
Yeah.
Because he was that good on, forget what the fuck he did on Miami Vice.
Yeah.
Not Miami Vice, CSI, with the sunglasses on and off, whatever. And he got rich on that show. But he was great on the show. People like Tarantino, people from the feature world were all interested in him.
I mean, if Tarantino likes your work, that says a lot.
Yeah. He was talking about some of his roles that he saw in a bunch of movies, and it kind of laughed at him. He goes, but then I saw him in, I don't know if it was, what caught his eye was, something caught his eye. Oh, it was King of New York. He goes, he was so fucking Irish as and he was.
And that's what
That
Tarantino
red hair
said.
and
Yeah, that fucking red hair, the way he acted, because he's a Queens guy like me, and he was really good in that movie.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't look like anybody else. He has that kind of pasty face.
Fucking freckled hair, red hair, real red hair, very intense. I mean, the fucking dude brought it, And I mean, I remember I was fucking nervous wreck a few times just when I first started out there. And then I saw him. I didn't know him. And I was involved in a couple of little scenes with him. We were going in, bum rushing the bar and this and that. And I could tell this guy was bringing it,
Yeah.
And then I was watching him on the set. And it was there was a quality about him. There was an intensity about him that you go, he was raising the fucking, I mean, his antics got crazy as the year went on. But at the beginning, I just said, man, this guy's fucking, I could see why Steven liked him.
Yeah.
Like Milch kind of had a feeling that this guy was going to be.
He wasn't going to be around, right?
No, he goes, this guy's going to be trouble for me. Because David was a crazy guy, and I guess he saw that. a nut could spot another nut.
That's right.
You understand? Like if you're a nut, you could say, I'm a fucking nut. Now I can spot that guy because I'm a nut. I know that he might be a bigger nut for me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have that problem.
Both
so,
very complex people, individuals.
Credit to Stephen Bochco. He's like, regardless what David said, I'm going to cast that nut because I think he's worth it. And he was worth it because the contribution that he made in the first season was...
Really got the show on the map.
Got the show on the map. I mean, Dennis was great.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. He was great. But you go back. I mean, you've watched some of the first season, but just watch him. He was exciting. He was exciting to watch. He was almost like watching... He had charisma, too. It was almost like you watch James Gandolfini. I'm not saying he was as good as James. But he had that kind of... He had the weight, and he had everything. He had everything going on, and that's why I'm saying, like, Gandolfini did fucking several seasons of The Sopranos. How do you not do something? How do you after 1 year get rid of that? You know what I'm saying? It don't make any sense.
And it's also too bad that David Caruso would have been a much better actor being there around all of you guys, that fantastic ensemble. He would have gotten better, and frankly, you all would have gotten better because he was a terrific actor.
He was terrific.
Egomaniac.
Well,
yeah,
absolutely.
He was crazy. He was crazy. I mean, he told me he did a movie with De Niro, and he goes, De Niro hated me. For whatever reason. De Niro wanted John for that movie. That's a true story.
Well,
he wanted John.
Everybody wants John for every single movie.
He wanted John. And I think he couldn't get him for whatever reason. I don't know if my dad was sick, something. I don't remember. Mad Dog. And then Caruso was brought in, and David was good in the movie. And he goes, he fucking took me on the side and he yelled at me. You're so over the top. You're fucking this movie. Really? I guess he tried to flex his muscles, and I heard De Niro's a good guy, but if you try to push people around, David had that kind of. Right. I don't know if you saw him on the set. Yeah. He could be. He tried to Yeah. That's why they used to be those big. I don't remember what used to happen. Him and Milch would leave the set and this and that. I don't know what went on behind the scenes. I was his friend, and I was a young guy. I kind of looked up to him. Yeah. And I liked him. I saw he was kind of crazy. And a lot of times, and Dennis was a good guy. McDaniel, everybody was a good guy. But for whatever reason, the fucking narcissistic, ego got it. It's too bad. But it's still a great memory to me. And I still I still cherish that first season because, like you said, it was that feeling that it was new.
It was the magic.
It was almost like you were a virgin and you popped your cherry. I mean, it was really like when I did Jungle Fever, it was like the first big part I had in the movie. I was like, fucking felt great. And then when you saw it, and it was like, wow, and I'm a part of this, and it's all so new to me. Right. And you go, oh wow, and I was in this fucking show and I was doing. I thought I was doing okay, and everybody's like, you're doing better than okay. And I was like, wow, people were encouraging you, you know? So it's like the start of your life.
Yeah.
Wait, you said, so he had a TV career, then tried to get a movie career, and it kind of failed, essentially?
Well, they gave him a feature shot.
Well, I'm saying that's like the context of it, right?
Well, he had a movie career. He was a character actor in movies.
But it wasn't like a great movie career.
Not terrible. It's like Jimmy Gandolfini. Jimmy had all these character roles, and then he got this chance to be a star in the show. I mean, not only a star, but he was like the right guy.
I'm just trying to think now.
Like NYPD Blue, I honestly believe wouldn't have been the same without him. Do you agree with that?
No, absolutely.
Well, what I'm trying to say is, you said Quentin likes him, right?
Yes.
Now, think of the plot of Once Upon a Time. A guy who was a star of a TV show who quit that to become a movie star, and he fucked it up, so he had to go back and do these like ridiculous TV roles. That could be based off him.
Maybe, because he was talking about Caruso recently.
That's probably why.
Maybe.
Because he said he explained it.
Because he was very fascinated by Caruso.
Because he explained the plot of it as it's like a TV guy who had a big point.
Yeah.
And then he wanted something else, and it kind of failed. Yeah. And he kind of had to settle for just like hanging around.
Yeah, but he did settle and he did get another TV show.
But like it's the same thing. Like it's not as going to be looked at as the one he was really big on.
No, and I mean, I bet you he got very, very rich on it, but he's not very relevant. He was on that show, but they made fun of him.
I mean, if you ask probably kids my age if they know who he is, most wouldn't say.
Well, they might if they know CSI Miami.
It's not SVU. Everyone knows SVU.
No, but he was kind of they made like jokes, not only jokes, but they made like he was this, Jim
Carrey.
Jim Carrey was fucking imitating him.
Incredible
It was like, I'd love to watch David Caruso. And he did this great Caruso. Have you seen it on Letterman?
No.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. It's so good.
It's also interesting too that you said you had no idea who any of these people were when you auditioned.
I didn't.
But that's a credit to, social media and internet really wasn't around at that time.
Well, I heard of Botchko because I'd heard of Hill Street Blues, but I didn't watch Hill Street Blues.
Because now today, if you go on an audition, right, they send you whatever the audition is on the email, and most of the times if you audition for like a big show, it'll say who's producing it, who's the names, and all you got to do is look, your agent will tell you this is a big audition, and you look up the names and you go, oh shit, this person did this, that. And then you think like, oh, well, if I get this will be big. So he obviously didn't have that, which is good.
Technology has changed that game.
Yeah.
That's great.
Like it was great, like Stephen
Like
Botchko.
you had no idea who Dennis Franz was.
And then they were like, Dennis Franz? I was like, not really.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
You were like, what, 28 years old, something like that?
I was like 32, 31. I don't remember, And Dennis Franz was friends with Joe Mantegna. And Joe Mantegna is this famous Chicago guy who I stopped on the street when I was a doorman one time. I used to stop everybody telling me, hey, my brother? I would just stop people randomly. And so Dennis Franz goes to me one day, he goes, hey, Nick, I got to ask you a question. I said, yeah, Dennis. With that Chicago accent. He goes, were you ever a doorman? And I said, because he goes, my buddy Joe Mantegna swears you were a doorman. I said, yeah, it was. I said, and I go, in fact, I stopped Joe. Because I remember people I would stop famous people. I'd go, hey! And then stop them. I'd go, Gene Hackman one time I was talking to. I just see everybody.
He's my favorite. Gene
Hackman.
Hackman.
I remember Dennis was like, yeah, I didn't know if that was true. He goes, I could swear this kid was a doorman. I was like, what the fuck am I going to lie about it? Yeah, I was a doorman. So what?
Everybody starts somewhere.
And then, I find out when my brother goes, is David Milch there? He was a professor at Yale. He was he was after my brother's wife, Kathy. He goes, yeah, he was like, Kathy, did you fuck David Milch? No. Because he goes, is John still married to Kathy? And I said, yes, David, yes. Because I showed David Milch John's movie Mac that he made about my dad and his brothers, and he loved it. He goes, that's great, Nicky.
Wait, David Milch from Chicago, too?
No, he's from Buffalo, but he has that almost Chicago accent.
Twang?
Yeah, he has a twang, and he kind of talks with his head to the side. He's such an intense dude. At the beginning, I didn't even know who he was, and everybody's like, Milch, David Milch. And I was like, I didn't realize, like, he's really the guy that ran the show. And then there was this other guy who looked like a professor, and he was another boss, too, this guy, Greg Hoblet.
Yeah.
He was very... like a waspy guy, with, and he liked me a lot.
And they had presences that were like real
they
as
had
hell.
big presents.
Yeah.
There was a lot of big presents on that set, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Greg would bring people in just to be an extra. And Greg would be like, I go, do I have to be in the scene? He goes, well, Nicky, I want to see you. I want to see your face, and you're doing paperwork, and you're doing this, you're doing that, and. A couple of times,
Greg's very anal.
He's a very anal guy.
Perfectionist.
But if he says something nice to you,
you better embrace it because he doesn't say it very often.
I know. And a couple of times he was like, you're really. I was like, he goes, you're really doing some wonderful things. And I said, thank you. Caruso goes, if that dude is telling you, that's a good, because him and Caruso, I don't remember if they used to lock horns a lot. I think it was more David Milch and I think David Caruso.
Yeah.
Hoblet was also an odd guy too.
Very odd.
He was telling me about he was fascinated with Spike. He wanted me because he's a good director. He's the guy that created that whole look. So he was like, when we're in New York, could you invite maybe Spike, Nick? Hoblet was asking me. I said, yeah. He's a fan of the show because I saw Spike.
Oh, Spike was a fan?
Yeah, he was like, man, I like the show. We like the show, Nick. And I was like, well, Greg Hoblet would like to...
That's enough for Spike.
That's it, man. It was like fucking Spike. And he was like, I think Spike is like fantastic. And he goes, I told him to hire you, Nick, because you were a little young. And I said, hire that kid. Because I looked young. I looked real young. I don't think I'd ever played a cop before. So I was like, I was old enough to play a cop, but I looked like a kid.
You actually started in movies and then went to TV,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. that
Yeah,
makes
I
sense.
had done a little TV.
But like your break was like in Jungle Fever and Mobile.
I was looking at myself as being a movie actor. The year before, I had done a pilot for CBS, a sitcom. I had done a pilot called Better Days with this guy, Peter Dobson, who's a good actor, good guy too. This guy had a million fucking pilots. He was like Mr. Pilot. He was like Mr. Pilot. I had a test for the pilot. They called me up one day. I auditioned in New York. They put me on tape. I'm on the door. And Marty Lisak calls me and goes, honey, you got to get on a plane tonight. And I was like, what? I was like, oh, my God.
It's not even how Martin talks.
That's how he talks. Anyway, it's my version. I was like, tonight? Tonight? I was afraid to fly. He goes, yeah, they want to test you for this pilot. It's a sitcom with Thomas, another big company that did all these fucking... So it was that night. I was having like... I remember my stomach was hurting me. I parked my car in Queens. I think I had to take a shit. I swear, this is a true story. I think I had to take a shit, and I was in the parking lot like an animal between two cars. It was either I shit on the ground or shit in my pants. That's how crazy it was. Anyway, I won't go into more. Leave it at that. So that night, I almost missed the flight. I think they had to open a door. I was afraid. I don't know why I was fucking around getting there late. They opened the door with a key and let me on the plane. I was like, they flew me out. I was way out of my element. I knew nothing about flying. I was afraid to fly. I come off the plane in a powder blue leisure suit. I get in front of the whole network, CBS. I think there was this guy, Jeff Sagansky. Yeah. And he said, I looked like the guy. I had a hat on my head. And I went back and they were like, well, Sagansky thinks you look like the guy who was the lead. I go, what? How could I look like the guy? I had a fucking hat on my head. You know, I was going crazy. And Marty was like, calm down, calm down. I was at Abrams Artist, 9200 Sunset Boulevard. And so Peter calls my agent. Liked me. Peter Dobson goes, don't worry. Tell him not to worry. You're going to get it. They're going to look at a bunch of guys with blonde hair and blue eyes and say no. Just go back to New York and relax. It's like, fuck. You know, so I go back to New York. And lo and behold, I get the fucking pilot. You know, and it was like, you know, it was good money. It flew me back out to L.A. And oh, my God, I had a blast. And there was one scene I had to wear like a turban. And it was me, Peter Dobson, and Mitchell Whitfield, who was the other guy in My Cousin Vinny. Mitchell Whitfield and him and what's his name?
Ralph
Macchio. I actually auditioned for the Ralph Macchio part.
Really?
And they used to consider me for a lot of things. You know, we like him. And then it would go to like a guy who was a star.
Yeah.
You know, a guy who was a star. And, you know, so I didn't get My Cousin Vinny. But after that, then the pilot got shot. Didn't get picked up. I was thinking, that's my one shot in Hollywood. You know, I tried. Then a year later, who knows? This NYPD Blue comes along.
Changes your life.
Changed my life. You know what I mean? Packed up, retired as a doorman. I said, yeah, let me give this thing a shot. And the rest is history. But I mean, it was also, like you say, it was also new. It was like, you almost would like to create that feeling of creating something new, something from the ground up, you know, and like you're on a great team. You're on a champion. You're on the Yankees in 77 or 96. And speaking of the Yankees in 96, they won the whole thing. I was on the show. We were in New York. I was getting tickets. It was all fucking surreal. I met my wife. I mean,
but you all have to understand, it's like you don't understand how you got there, like in the moment, but like looking back, it's like where the perspective comes into play.
Pretty amazing
because
when you think about it.
Because you're saying like, okay, like damn, I wish I could have like been from the ground up, but you had to. It took you a long time to get from the ground up just to that point. So it's like once you're there, that's supposed to be all right. Well, let's keep moving. But then you're like, well, this was also the cool feeling as well. So.
Well, there was a lot of cool things.
It's a hard it's weird perspective.
I mean, number one was like being in a movie. You know, the first time I was in a movie, Mo Better Blues, with my brother and Spike, and then that was
Denzel.
That was huge for me.
Yeah.
And then Spike puts me in another movie. All of a sudden, I got somebody who's behind me, and then I got an agent, and then I did a couple of little plays. I was building up, and even though I was still working, like, I would be working less and less as that doorman. And people were like, you still work here? Well, yeah, I'm still here. But, I was working towards something.
Yeah.
And I had a goal, but I didn't have a time frame. I just was I was going along. I remember one time Matt Dillon said hi to me on the door, and he was like, hey, he goes, you're a good Matt Dillon, man, Johnny Drama's brother. And Matt goes, what are you doing out here? I go, well, this is my day job, And he goes, well, because maybe you're a hell of a talent.
Matt Dillon?
Yeah, I guess maybe he saw me in Jungle Fever.
Did he remember that when you met him later?
Yes, he remembered, because I did takers with him, and I met him on a plane once. He goes, I always respected you because I remember you out there with the hat on your head, and Richard Lewis used to walk by, the guy on fucking Curb. He was always in black sneakers. I'd be, hey, Richie, hey, Rich. How you doing, man? How you doing? I used to bother him. He goes, remember Central Park South, Nicky? Remember Central Park South? That's why I always wanted to do, that doorman show. I had a couple of deals at HBO and FX, and then, it all went south with my brother. And, the doorman shit, I could still do it, man. I could do it with all younger guys. I could play an older guy.
What's it called? Matt Dillon's a damn good actor.
Oh, he's a damn good actor, man. I was watching, I've been on this fucking Entourage kick. I watched 7 and 8 when you were away. They're not the greatest season, but that fucking Johnny Drama, he's got lines in the show that make me die. He had one last night.
Which one?
When he goes,
what was the context?
The context was Turtle. He can't fuck good,
Oh, Alex told him he sucked,
God.
right?
And he goes, man, the guy fucks like shit.
Johnny Drama can almost say anything, and
it is
funny.
the funniest character. I think it's one of the funniest characters I've ever seen on TV.
I've never seen the show.
You gotta watch
it.
Entourage.
Oh, you never watched it.
But this Johnny Donnie, blah 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 blah, motherfucker, can't even speak English anymore. This Johnny Drama character is fantastic.
Well,
I'd love to get him on the show.
It's really
I don't
not.
know if he's in L.A.
Entourage is not my generation. It's really like that's like his era generation.
I didn't on my first go. I wasn't that into it.
Because I was a little kid when it was coming out.
Now I watched it again, like with him, and it clicked. And I was like, "This is fucking good."
Are they just all Hollywood agents? Is that really what it is?
No, it's like the chronicles of like a big up and coming movie star, and his best friend is his manager, and his brother is like a kind of a C-level actor, and his other best friend is just
friends like a bunch of mooches.
and then just
and they got a guy like Marty. And the guy's a high-powered agent.
Yeah.
And the guy nails it. Like, he plays an agent, like, better than an agent.
Yeah.
That fucking
there's some lines that he says in that show are, like,
fantastic.
Unreal.
I mean, I've been around those guys. I've been in the rooms with those guys. I've been in pitches. I've been in UTA. I've been in front of those people. I've never seen anybody capture an agent like Jeremy Piven has.
Yeah.
Nobody. And they wrote that. I mean, today, with all this Me Too and the political...
You couldn't write that show.
You can't even get that show made today.
Right.
No way. You can't say half the shit that they say in that show today.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad that you can't, I mean, they go a little, sometimes they go a little too far, but it's fucking funny.
Dude, some of the thing, I'm reading like some of Ari Gold's most quotable lines.
You've not watched it?
I don't even know how they didn't get
see
away with this. Listen to this quote from Ari Gold, you ready?
Yeah, give it to me.
This is insane. The anger meds didn't make me calm. They just made me not able to come, which made me angry and just made my wife sore. Like, how do you...
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. He talks about everything. Anything. Sucking cock, this, that. It doesn't matter what comes out of his fucking mouth.
There's no
it's not my mouth, it's his mouth.
There's no asterisks in this life, only scoreboards, and ours is currently reading fucked.
Oh, my God. His physicality, too.
I don't care.
Great writing.
Oh, my God. It's terrific.
Goes, I don't care if Justin Bieber calls and wants me to negotiate the rights to his virginity. I don't want to talk to him.
These his quotes?
Yeah.
Give me some of Johnny Drama's.
Johnny Drama is like some of the best quotes in Entourage.
He goes, what happened, bro? You fuck like dog shit, huh? I mean, the shit that comes out of his mouth.
I like this one. He goes, when Vince is trying to do Aquaman, he goes, you know, Vince, it's very empowering to dress up in costume. I once dressed as a Power Ranger. And he goes, weren't you a Power Ranger at the City Walk? So? I was a Power Ranger.
Oh, it's fucking great.
was
I've
great.
just rewatched it now like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
You're
I'm
gonna
have
you're
to,
gonna fucking love it.
I have to watch it.
You're gonna start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Gets better and better. The Johnny drama is him and Ari are the best characters in the show. But Turtle is very funny too. Fat Turtle, when he's fat, I like him. When he's heavy,
Yeah, he says to the girl.
he
the girl,
got too thin at the end.
The girl goes. She says to Turtle. He goes. Yeah, I work for Vince. Blah blah blah. She goes. So what? Are you like a gopher? He goes. Nah, sweetheart. I'm more like a manager.
Because he doesn't really have a position.
Right.
Yeah.
Like his friend E, Kevin Conley plays him. That's like his manager, right? And then his drama, who's his brother, he cooks for them, and he's also was a TV actor. He was on a show called Vikings Quest.
He like wants to be a star.
He wants to be a star
Yeah.
drama.
Yeah.
But he's not really good looking. But he thinks he is.
And he's not as good as he may actually be better than Vince, but
He might be. He actually might be better than Vince.
But nobody believes in drama.
Then he gets a show later on called Five Towns, which is right where I grew up. All these areas in Long Island, Woodmere, Hewlett. Because a lot of the guys that wrote it were from Queens, from Long Island. Brian Burns, Ed Burns' brother. Doug Elin, he might be a Long Island guy too. Kevin Conley's a Long Island
Doug
guy.
Allen's a genius writer, man. He's great.
He nailed it.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, I don't know the guy well, but there's some great writing in that entourage.
Yeah.
Rob Weiss is great
Rob
on there
Weiss,
too.
I mean, man, they've not come. See, I don't know if you can get close to that again.
No.
I'm watching that shit going, man, this shit is good.
The thing is that it was also like it looked really simple. Like it wasn't a show that was trying to be incredibly cinematic, and it wasn't a show that was like
You're gonna binge watch
underdone.
it. You're gonna love it, man.
yeah.
You're gonna fucking love it.
It's easy to watch too. It's
It's
like
easy.
25 minutes an episode.
Oh, that's
and
it?
And then you watch it, and it's like,
It's-
oh, okay, put
I'm
on the
telling
next
you.
Considered
one.
a comedy? How did they do
It's a
that?
comedy.
Yeah,
HBO comedy.
Wow.
It went.
It
eight
it
seasons.
technically did 9
Wow.
seasons, but it's like 8 because they did the season 3 is 3A, 3B.
Wow, I'm gonna have to watch this.
I just watched like 3 or 4, 6, 7, 8. I'm ready to start over again. I'm telling you, it's like
we've
crack.
rewatched the show maybe like 100 times.
You know, because I've been developing this pilot with him, Nick, and this other guy. And we kind of got inspired by Entourage. And our show isn't Entourage, but it's kind of like, it has elements of Entourage.
The
in it.
thing is, there's no shows like Entourage anymore because like you can't say what they say,
Yeah.
and the thing is, it was like the delivery, and they chose the right guys to play it.
I'm telling you, man, it's terrific. Anyway, let's talk about it was a sad week, with Kobe Bryant passing away. I've just I just like the rest of the world, kind of shocked by the whole thing. I mean, I don't know where you were that day when you heard it, and I was like, you just can't believe it, right?
Did you notice the sky was like gray when you woke up that day?
I woke up that day feeling weird. You know when you've come into the bedroom and given me bad news a few times, like who passed away? Jose
Fernandez. yeah.
Fernandez, you told me passed away. Was there somebody else too? You've given me a couple of,
I don't know. Those aren't things I pay attention.
Not that I don't remember these things, but I woke up that day. He's right. It was a little gray. It felt a little weird. This was like a little over a week ago on a Sunday.
I tell you, when you get shocking news like that, and then when it comes out of nowhere, I was driving on Laurel Canyon. It was like 9:26 in the morning, and I'd never listened to AM radio. It's like Fox. There was something was coming up, and all of a sudden they said breaking news, and I'm thinking like breaking news.
Yeah.
It says Kobe Bryant has just died. And along with, and I think at that time it was only like 3 or 4 other people. They hadn't divulged that there was 9 altogether.
Right.
And it was like it was so surreal.
Yeah.
It was as shocking as when Magic came out. Remember? And he said I have HIV.
Right.
I was so shocked.
Yeah.
When I heard that, I couldn't believe it. I looked down like maybe it was. But you knew it wasn't a joke.
No,
Nobody's going to joke
no.
about anything like that.
My
It was
daughter
horrible.
texted me and said, Kobe Bryant died. And I said, what? You're like, and then right away, you Google it to see if it's real. And you go, well, he wasn't sick. So what happened?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
And then I didn't know his daughter died. Then I didn't know all these other. I didn't know he traveled by, helicopter.
For years and years and years. Yeah.
I saw him in '98 play. He was a rookie, I guess. Played in the All-Star game at the Garden, and I saw him play Jordan up close, like courtside, and I remember how, like this was like the son of Jordan.
Yeah.
And I actually was in a lounge one time, American Airlines. I was just newly on the show. I guess I was still on NYPD Blue, and he saw me and he said, "Hey." He went like that to me. I went, "Hey." And I said to Lisa, I said, "That's Kobe Bryant," and not knowing, I didn't realize he grew up in Italy, so he spoke fluent Italian.
That's right.
He spoke really good Italian. So the Italian people had a lot of affection for him. I mean, he was, just beginning like his other life. Here you are, you have an amazing life. And, you have now 4 kids. Everybody has their ups and downs. But he had really, now he was starting out the next phase of his life. He's 41 years old, man.
Yeah.
And that's the way, your life ends. And you just never know. Like, the thing about it is, he made an incredible impact. But it just, when you say life isn't fair, it's true.
Yeah.
It isn't fair. But
I don't know if he was,
but
Nick,
nothing is guaranteed.
Yeah, Nick, I don't know how you felt about him if you watched him a lot. My son Austin, who you know, he was like, for me, it was like Jerry West. Watching Jerry West, how important he was to me.
Right.
For Austin, it was
for a lot
Kobe
of these kids.
Bryant.
It was Kobe Bryant.
And he texted me, he goes, "Dad, I can't stop crying," and that was that night.
Oh,
and I had to call him.
Wow.
I felt so.
Well, I mean, I didn't grow up a Laker fan, but I mean, I grew up my whole life watching Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
I mean, I respect him. I saw him play. He was incredible. Yeah. I couldn't believe the news. I still can't believe it. It doesn't sound right.
No.
I know.
No.
I mean, imagine. His wife. They got 4 kids, and now she loses her husband, and she loses one of her children. I'm like, it doesn't matter how much money you have, or whatever. It's like your whole life is like
ruined,
torn apart. It's like, holy shit.
What'd you think of LeBron's speech for him?
I didn't. To be honest, I didn't hear the speech. Was it good?
It was great.
Was it from the heart?
Yeah. He spoke. Well, I mean, that was his mentor, Kobe Bryant.
He was a lot of people's mentor.
Yeah.
I mean, this generation of guys, it was Kobe, and before Kobe, it was
Jordan.
It was Jordan. Kobe emulated Jordan.
Right.
To the point where you saw a lot of the killer instinct. You saw
it just doesn't make sense at all.
Has Michael Jordan said anything? I'm just curious.
I think he did. I don't know what he said, but I think he spoke on it.
When an athlete dies, they're people, right? They are. But there's just something superhuman about them. You know what I mean?
Well,
like when this guy died, Munson, I remember my friend Louis Alvaro knocked on the door, 79, it was a summer day, and he went down a little plane, and it was the same shit. He was like, "What? Thurman Munson just died." And I was like, "No. You can't believe it." Like, because these guys, they represent...
They're bigger than life.
They're bigger than life. And that's why when someone like that dies, you're really in denial. You're in shock. I remember that the standing ovation that Monday night in Yankee Stadium, 55,000 people were weeping. It went on for 5 minutes. Reggie Jackson was crying in the outfield. It was a Monday night baseball game against the Orioles, and Howard Cosell. It was the saddest thing. Billy Martin was destroyed. It's like Kobe Bryant. It was just like Jerry West was crying. Because you can't believe. If he was older and he got sick, you can understand it. But the guy's 41 years old, and he's with his daughter, who's maybe the closest to him, and then they both go together. That's like if me and you went there. I don't want nothing to happen to me and you. If something happens to me, fine. I'm just saying, I already lived.
Yeah.
But then you go with your kid and you go like, well, why? I don't know how you answer why. You can't answer the why. He's like, well, how did I get here? Why the fuck did that happen? Why did this happen? Why? You start questioning mortality and life and what does it all mean?
I could barely sleep on the plane. I felt turbulence. Like, oh shit.
Well, you can't think about that.
Gotta wake up.
You can't think that way. We don't know what's in store for us.
No.
We didn't know the good, the bad, the ugly. We don't know.
No.
Right?
No, and it's also hard to believe because, a guy like that has everything. So you don't, expect something like this.
Right.
Fame and fortune and the family.
It was like, could I just write a check to prevent it? No, I mean, it's a joke, but you
Yeah.
can't.
No.
It doesn't matter. Like Stephen had all the money in the world,
All the
right? But he
money in
got
the world.
sick.
Yeah.
The man took care of himself,
Yeah.
and he dies of a horrible thing. It doesn't matter.
That's it's like that song. Jay calls a song. He says, the song is called ATM. He says, count it up, count it. Can't take it when you die, but you can't live without it. It's a fucked up saying because it's like you
Yeah.
need it to stay alive
Yeah,
and survive, but if you die, what is it? What's the use?
yeah. Well, the thing is, the impact he made on this earth, and he'll be remembered for a long time, forever.
Rest
I mean,
in
that's the thing,
peace.
will people remember you? And he will be remembered. Like always people go to me, hey, man, I remember the thing you did. I mean, I never forgot that. I'm like, that's good, because you made an impact on this earth.
Right.
When you're not here, somebody's going to be thinking about you. You affected somebody. And he's going to be,
He's going to be known also for a guy who gave his all.
Yeah.
He's a
And
great
he
representation of if you do something
drank,
in life,
slept, ate basketball.
do it 100%.
all the
Don't
way.
do it
No.
80%.
That's right.
He's
did
like
it.
he's like a basketball Derek
Oh, he
Jeter.
was a gym rat. He was a basketball guy to the end.
Yeah.
And like he was with his daughter who loved basketball. So like maybe it was fitting that they were together because, somehow she was a spirit close to him.
Right.
I don't know. You're trying to think of something.
I can't wrap my head around it.
It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe. I don't know much about those copters. I heard they maybe shouldn't have went up that day. Some people weren't flying. So, and if things go wrong, you can't. It's not as. I'm not saying the plane you can, but there's more I don't know. I think he got frazzled. The guy
Yeah.
driving the cop, from what I heard.
you-
I never
Right.
been in one. I have no desire.
Did you hear what his last tweet was, Kobe Bryant?
What was it?
Well, it was weird. So like the night before, LeBron broke like a record of his.
Oh, I heard
forget
about
what
this,
it was.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he was
yeah.
supportive,
And-
right?
Yeah, yeah.
He tweeted, continuing to move the game forward at King James. Much respect, my brother. And it was like, and then someone posted like a photo of them,
Yeah,
like a passing of the torch,
yeah.
and then he died the next day.
He just did a show with the
with
guys
all
over
the
here.
smoke, yeah.
What's
He was
it
just.
called?
Were you there?
Up in Smoke?
He was there.
Was it in here?
Yeah, he was.
Went to his office as an OC.
His office in the OC?
He was there.
You were there?
Yeah.
How was he?
It was awesome. It was like a month before. Super nice guy. It was crazy.
Yeah, because they do a show here. Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes.
Yeah, that's Matt Barnes' boy too. So he was.
Fucking sad.
Yeah.
Just
Rest
hard to
in-
believe. I mean, my prayers go out to his family and
Yeah,
everybody.
and
I
all
mean-
the families.
Well, let's talk about the Super Bowl. I don't want to end on a bad, sad note. The Super Bowl was pretty damn good.
Mahomes, man.
Man, Mahomes didn't have his greatest game, but he dug deep, man.
He's a
dug
savage,
deep.
that kid.
What? He's a savage.
He like I
Down
was
20-10 with like 7 minutes to go.
Yeah, yeah.
And he fucking revved it up. That 3rd and 15, that was the play.
yeah.
They caught a little break on that one call. Questionable whether it was,
Well, with the foot.
No, not the foot where the guy, the guy was, they said he was pass interference. He was kind of like in his face.
Well, you can't put your back. to
Okay,
him,
so
that's
then,
passing
yeah.
interference.
But listen, man, they dug deep, man. Because it looked like
They
the second, third quarter, the Niners took over. But then Mahomes did his fucking thing. He made that 3rd and 50, got that touchdown. Then they stopped him, and then they went ahead. And then they stopped him again. It was and all this with like what 7 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just
Wow.
and they just threw like what a pick six or something like that was. It?
Yeah. And running back had a great game too.
You could write the script. You couldn't do it much better than that, right? At the end.
At least
No.
at least it was a good Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl was good. I couldn't believe how fast it went.
And the
you
half
weren't
and
there.
I was watching.
No, I'm saying you weren't at the house.
And halftime was great too.
Oh, it was awesome.
J Lo, Shakira, Bad Bunny, J
Shakira, and then
Balvin.
you had your guy J Balvin, Bad Bunny.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Shakira, J Lo.
Incredible.
Who
I
was
was-
better, Shakira or J Lo?
I think Shakira.
That's what people were saying. Everybody was
Yeah.
saying she was a little
Well,
looser.
well-
But she threw down pretty good
Well,
too.
but
J-Lo
let's just
for
say
50.
our man A-Rod was wilding out in
Hey.
the crowd.
A-Rod is making. He's my man.
That was awesome.
You know we love Alex.
Yeah, it was a good Super Bowl.
It was a
though.
good Super Bowl.
I don't-
Because last year was a dud.
I don't like how Garoppolo throws at all. I don't like.
Garoppolo?
I don't like his game. I don't know why.
Tightened up a little bit.
Mahomes has.
I love Mahomes.
He had-
There's something like a guy that you see play on a two-hand touch.
Yeah.
He don't give a fuck. He gets the ball, and you ever hear his voice? I love his voice. Hey, man, it's Pat Mahomes. How you doing? The fucking voice.
Mahomes-
I love it. Everything's in his throat. How's it going, man? This is fantastic. We did it, guys. Yeah. Fucking, I love him.
Was he drafted as a baseball player also?
Well, he played baseball. His dad's a
His dad's
professional
baseball
baseball player.
player.
Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
He's a journeyman pitcher.
He has that.
He's got that
He
it
has, he,
factor.
has, he has that demeanor like a Russell Wilson has.
Yes.
Very calm. The very
I'm a
motivational.
fan. Number
yeah.
15. You know?
Yeah.
Somebody tweets to me, no, I wasn't trying to fuck with you. I just want to know how you became a K. I go, I was rooting for KC.
People
I have
like-
to pick a side.
Yeah,
People don't know. Like you really don't watch football.
I don't
so
even.
it's like,
I'm
who
a
gives
casual
fuck?
footballer, but I have a great old Chiefs hat, and I never liked the Niners. I can't stand the Niners. I just don't like them. I don't like.
He
the
probably can get
49ers.
if the team stays together. He'll probably get another one. If
Hey
so.
man, they're young. They're young, and listen, just like the Seahawks, you know, with a quarterback like that, they're always going to be.
And when the Seahawks won, Russell Wilson wasn't even that good yet.
I would have liked to see Russell Wilson against Mahomes. Those are two of the exciting quarterbacks.
But Seahawks defense this year wasn't there.
Wasn't that great? But listen, KC's defense was okay. It stepped up when it had to.
Yeah,
It did step up when it
Seahawks
had to,
didn't
man.
step up when they needed
No, they
to.
didn't step up this year.
Yeah,
I'm so happy for the Chiefs.
He's a beast, Mahomes.
Plus, I love the name Chiefs because it reminds me of Slapshot. You know, one of my favorite movies. I
Uncle
love
Lenny,
it.
Uncle Lenny was happy as how 50 years he waited.
Yes, my friend Lenny Ratasky. 50 years, you're finally a champion, buddy. Welcome to the club.
They have great receivers, the Chiefs. Sammy Watkins, Travis
Oh,
Kelce.
great, man. And happy for Andy Reid. Now the real season starts. Baseball right around the corner. My sport. I can't wait.
I think we're going out spring training.
We're
yeah.
going.
Yeah,
We're
me-
going.
me, you, Gio
Uncle
Pino, and
Jack
Ace.
and Ace. I texted Jack. He was like, "Was Ace there?" No, I'm with just the boys.
he was with Dak Prescott. Is that his name? Dak?
Yeah.
Dak, yeah.
He was with Dak Prescott.
He was with Dak.
Why, he texted you?
No, I saw it on his Instagram. He was Jack.
was he with?
Jack was having a ball out there.
Was he partying,
Oh,
Jack?
He was with Rob too.
Rob who? Gronkowski?
No, Rob, his best friend.
Oh, Rob. Yeah.
Jack G,
Yeah.
man. He's
Jackie G.
Where's spring training for them?
Florida.
Florida.
Tampa. We were just
Tampa.
there last year.
Yeah. So we're thinking of going this year.
There must be other teams in
Oh,
Florida.
there's a ton there, and there's a ton in Arizona.
Okay.
But
Maybe
yeah.
we'll do both this year.
You're hearing that Mookie Mike? They're saying he's gonna get traded.
Oh, they're going to move him
Why is that?
because they're not going to sign him long term.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why?
Listen, I don't know.
Why? He's like he's a franchise,
player. I mean, you build your team around Mookie Betts, and you know they got the other guy to shortstop. I mean, he's a good player.
Yeah, but Xander and Mookie Betts are like
But why do you
franchise
get
players.
rid of the guy? Right? Why? Because you had to know. They
Get
got
rid of
4
David
championships.
Price. Don't
yeah,
get rid of
David
him.
Price. They overpaid. Chris Sale. They overpaid. I mean, why do you dump Mookie Betts? I mean, I don't get the Red Sox.
Who are they? They saying the Dodgers want him or something like that?
The Dodgers or the Padres. I don't know. It's fucking weird.
You think Garrett Cole's going to earn his money this year?
I think he's gonna. I think, the Yankees severely overpaid, but they had to because
You
he's the
had
number
to.
one guy.
Yeah.
You
Listen,
see
if he gives us 4 or 5 good years, I'll be happy.
See how baseball now is, Kurt? Like some of these guys get like absurd contracts, right?
Right.
But like, okay, what did Strasburg get? 250? Is that what Strasburg got?
Strasburg.
He had 250, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so like Strasburg gets 250. Now, is he a great pitcher? Yes, but like he's had injuries and I don't
Right.
think he's the most
He
consistent
was
pitcher.
out his first season, wasn't he? Tommy John.
One-
or
yeah, a
something?
couple
of
seasons,
years.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of injuries.
But he wasn't projected to get 250. Garrett Cole was.
Right.
He gets 250, so Garrett Cole leveraged the extra whatever up to over 300, whatever it was.
Wow.
Strasburg's a
So
stud, but-
what baseball players doing now, like Manny Machado got like what 300 last year, whatever it was. Was it 3 or 2?
I think he got close to 3. I don't
He
know.
got close to 3, and he doesn't deserve
He don't
300
deserve
million.
it.
So Bryce,
is there a certain part of that that's guaranteed though?
it's all guaranteed.
guaranteed.
Really?
mean like
Because a lot of
football?
times in football, they
That's
But
football.
but baseball
Yeah.
is all
no,
guaranteed
it's
money.
guaranteed money.
Yeah, even if even if you get hurt, you still are
Yeah.
guaranteed the
Like,
money.
Look at this guy
Wow.
the Yankees have been paying for the last 3-4 years. He's been on a beach somewhere. Nobody can find him. He's
Jacoby
on a fucking
Ellsbury.
beach,
Yeah.
and they can't find him. He's still getting 17, 20 million a year.
yeah.
Jacoby.
sounds like a comedy.
It is a comedy.
Well, A-Rod's
It is
last
a fucking
year.
comedy.
A-Rod's
Yankees
last
are trying
year-
to fucking. They're trying to avoid the contract, but they can't get out of it.
We ought to go find that guy. That could be our new show.
That could be our show. We want to do a reality show about two dreamers.
He looks
Every
like
week
he looks like Jacoby Ellsbury.
He could be related.
Yeah.
Ain't a bad looking guy,
Maybe
Jacoby.
maybe he's working here now.
I wish me and Jacoby were friends.
Dude, it's crazy. And Bryce Harper gets 300 plus, and then Mike Trout goes, "Well, I want 400 million."
Baseball's the hardest
and he gets
sport,
400
man.
million.
It's the hardest sport, Curtis.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
got to
the
say,
money.
I really like Mike Trout. He's such like a down-to-earth guy. At least it comes across that way.
Yeah,
We
he
met him
does.
one time.
He's just been on a shitty team.
Yeah.
The Angels. I mean, the Angels that we talked about it with Jeff Pearlman. I mean, the uniforms suck. They gotta get a new stadium. That stadium is awful.
Just put the Angels in Inglewood
Fucking
and
just-
call it a day.
That's it. Put them in Englewood. Build a new fucking stadium. Go back to the Halo uniform. Get rid of that shit.
Their new stadium, the one in Inglewood's going to be done this year for
Football
the Rams.
stadium.
It looks
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, but I'm saying the Angels need a fucking new stadium. That thing is a joke. I'm tired.
Every time the Yankees play the Angels,
I hate
though,
going there.
there's always some competitive game, even if they suck, for whatever reason. And for us, it sucks because if we lose, it's an hour and a half drive invested.
I know,
Yeah.
coming back. Like, we went to the whole Dodger series. It was great. Ask him.
Yeah, but you
went to every
but-
game.
but
we
if-
went 2 out of 3.
But if you lose in LA,
so what?
it's 30 minutes
30
home.
minutes, you go home.
And also, Dodger Stadium is so cool.
It's
Up in
cool.
the ravine.
It's in the ravine.
Yeah.
It's in the canyons. It's the Yankees
It's
and
easy
the
to get
Dodgers.
to. It was in
so cool.
August.
Are they gonna do it this year again or not?
Probably not.
That's crazy that they don't do that every year. Yankees. Dodgers.
I don't understand. Like, isn't that business? Like, why don't you want to
I
bring
don't get it.
business? Like, what is
I don't
it?
understand why MLB doesn't. They go look at that's good for the fucking sport.
Yeah.
The Yankees and Dodgers.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
That was a
I
fun
don't know.
series.
Well, anyway, I mean, listen, I can't wait. It's February 4th, 4th or 5th.
It's the 4th, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
Yeah.
good show. How's the sandwich?
Terrific. Like this place.
Bay Cities, baby. Watch Entourage. Spring training coming. You got the Oscars this weekend. You see any movies?
What have I seen? I haven't seen anything.
Have you seen
great.
Parasite?
I haven't seen that. Is it worth seeing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
it might win Best Picture.
Have you seen Uncut Gems with
No,
Should have been nominated.
I got the disc. I'm
Go
gonna watch it.
Watch it.
Yeah,
Dynamite.
watch Uncut Gems, Parasite,
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You saw that?
I haven't seen that either.
You
I'm
got-
behind the times.
You're behind. You haven't seen
What the
Entourage.
hell's going on?
What the fuck you doing? Curtis Wilmot in the house. Good show, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, man.